This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks, Udaya. Thanks, Kumar. I think I spoke you about that. Okay, so before going to the today's section, so would like to ask me any questions on the previous one. Any questions, guys? Would you like to ask me? Okay, so so silence I can say I can consider as no. So now here today you guys are entering into the new concept here, right? So previously you have discussed about the difference between the bare metal as well as hosted virtualization, right? Today we're going to be discussing about the AWS services, right? The first services you guys are going to be considering the respective EC2 instances. Before going to that, right? You guys are going to be understanding about the AWS management console access, right? AWS management. So you guys are understanding AWS console access actually. So a walkthrough about the respective console which are there in the AWS actually. So this is my account actually. So I created the free tier account over the North Virginia region actually. So here I would like to enable the respective the thought process around how you guys are going to be how you guys are going to ensure that deployment of the respective services over the respective regions. So what is the best way to choose the respective region and how the regions are going to be helpful for you to understand the complete right deployment of the respective services is going to be checked. So let me enter into the credentials first. So this is the one where I use the credentials like a free tier account I have been using, so which going to help me for the all related activities, right? So now here I would like to understand about this one. So here on the right side of your respective stuff, you guys are going to be having the regions, right? So you have a Mumbai region, you have a Singapore, you have a US, you have a four regions in group, right? US you have in four regions actually. Mumbai and North Virginia and Ohio, North California and Oregon. You have in four regions like in the US. And typically in the India you have a Mumbai region and Singapore and Ireland. So now what is the best way to choose your respective regions? Right? Now what is the best way to choose your respective regions? So listen carefully here. So people are going to be use the latency less region actually, right? Latency less region. So they will going to be choose the SPF, shortest path first. Shortest path first here. So the reachability of your respective API should be very high actually. So the throughput should be very high. So even though AWS has been the multiple regions, so even though that AWS have been the multiple regions here, AWS has been the multiple regions here. So now here you need to understand the right AWS have been the multiple regions. So now each region will going to be considered as a two availability zones, right? At least two availability zones here, AZ1 and AZ2, right? Which is an to high availability of your respective application. Even though one availability zone is went down, it automatically routed to the second availability zone without any delay. Right? Even though one availability zone is went down, it automatically routed to the second availability zone without any delay actually. So this is one main important thing here, right? This is one main important thing here. This is one main important thing here that you guys need to understand. So now here, if my application is Paytm, right? If my application is Paytm, or if my application is PhonePe, if my application is Paytm, or if my application is PhonePe, right? Or if my application which is going to be a GeoMart. So typically the accessibility of the respective applications, right? Typically the accessibility of the respective applications only from the India, right? Typically the accessibility of the respective application is only from the India location actually. So what is the best shortest path for me to host my application over the Mumbai? Exactly, for to host my application on Mumbai, right? Because I can able to reach my application very fast. If I'm going to host my application on US, the latency is going to be very high. So if I'm going to host my application on the Mumbai, the latency is going to be very less. You need to consider these factors, right? You guys need to consider this factors here. You guys need to consider this factors here. That is one main important thing. You guys need to consider this factors. That is one main important thing here. That is how you guys need to understand here. Am I clear on this? Any questions, any doubts? Choosing of the region is very actually, right? Very, very important. The first step as an architect, right? So in the respective interview question also, in which region your resources are going to be deployed, right? So you need to, if you are mentioned in your resume, right, US based project, you need to update to them on either of these US regions, either North Virginia or California or Oregon. If you guys are explained, if you guys are working for an US project, if you answer the question, I have hosted my application over to Mumbai, then it is gone case. Then they're going to consider as a this guy having some kind of experience which is not related to this respective position. Because you mentioned in your project, I work for a US based client in your resume, but you answer that your application is hosted on Mumbai. Doesn't make sense, right? So be careful while answering this question. This is the tricky question. This is very simple question actually, right? You need to understand this one actually. So when you are having an US based client, you should be answer either North Virginia or Oregon or Ohio or any kind of North California, right? You can answer either of this. But when you guys have mentioned the Indian client, right, you should answer this respective Mumbai. This is one main important thing. And each region will going to be have an more availability zone, right? Each region will going to be have an more availability zone to high availability. However, right, you guys are going to be using the concept called CDN actually, which is called content delivery network, right? Which is called content delivery network actually. So that is going to be, right, this called content delivery network here. That is going to be discussed in the coming classes. This is for your application cache, right? This is for your respective application cache. So what is application cache? How does it going to work? What is the purpose of application cache? And why should I need to enable the application cache to achieve the high throughput? So this will going to be discussed in the coming sessions. Am I clear on this? So now here, once you have choose this respective region, then you have an, right, this is called bell icon here. So this is not going to be like, ask you to subscribe the YouTube channel for the AWS environment, right? AWS training classes of Method Technologies. So this is going to be an helpful for you if there is any kind of periodic maintenance. Suppose I have a hardware maintenance activity, right? Suppose I have a hardware schedule maintenance activity to upgrade my firmware, right, of my respective hardware, right? You will get a notification here as a AWS admin, right? As a AWS admin, you guys need to, right, go through at least, right? You guys need to go through at least once in a day if there is any kind of maintenance activity. Otherwise, what is going to happen? Even though they have sent the notification, and unfortunately you guys are ignore it, they're going to be restart your respective instance without your presence, right? Because they already sent the notification to append the patches, you guys need to restart your respective machines. So they already updated to you, they will restart automatically. If there is a production criticality, if there is a production servers, right, you guys are need to ensure that, right, you guys are need to ensure that at least, right, you guys need to ensure that at least this specific notification should be go through at least once in a day. Now here, this is the main EC2 dashboard actually. So I'm using the new console setup. So here you will have an events actually. Like there is no events at this moment, so no restart, no maintenance activities, right, for your respective instances. And for each and every account, they have a specific number of limits. I cannot create 100 instances. Like I cannot create 100 instances, or I cannot create 1,000 instances in the AWS. Right, each and every account based upon the usage of the respective account, they have an right limit for their respective activities. They have limit for their respective activities here. That is one thing you guys need to understand, right?
So is there a specific number for this?
Yeah, so you can get this respective stuff here. So for example, I have an EC2 instances. So go for this console. See, this is what 8-core CPU. So this is what limit. So I have a reserved instances of 20 I can use, right? Similarly, I have an respective on demand of all standards of 8-core CPU, vCPU. This is called vCPU in the sense virtual CPU. This is the limit where you guys are going to be identified. Am I clear
So
on
this
this?
this was for particular account or like how we can
This is
control
for
this for
only for the particular account actually. This is for the particular account. Very good question actually. This is for the particular account and the particular region as well, right? So like that you can able to create this one. So what if I want more resources? What if I want more resources? Go for this respective support here.
I have one more question. So as you told that bell
Yeah,
icon,
but
right? So it will show all the notification and events, right? So there is a retirement alert will be generating over the real-time environment. So the retirement alerts for the
so
particular instances, right? So that will also comes under the bell icon, or we have to go
yes, what? Sorry, what was that?
retirement alert for the host. As you know, we need to in this case we need to stop and start the instances. Might be they have some hardware issue or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
That is also comes into the yes. You are right. It is also comes into this.
Good.
So this
So
is
it
the
is like
number actually.
in the bell icon or referring?
Yeah, in the bell icon.
Okay, thank you.
So this is where open issues, and then you have an events as well. So this is what your number you were asking, right? You have an each every number here. So this is what the compute. As of now, you have a total 80 quota. That is where you can use. Right? This is all the AWS services you guys are going to be there. So quota request history. So as of now, there is no request. So here, this is the template here where you can do the respective service quotas. You can increase it, right? So this is your command prompt actually, AWS Cloud Shell. This is what newly implemented actually. So this I will discuss later part. This is the new console, guys. So 1 week back they comes into the respective console actually. This new console. So now here, this is the AWS global view, EC2 instances. So we'll enter what is the EC2 instances here and how the respective EC2 instances are going to be helpful for your respective real-time environment. So now here, basically, what is EC2 instances? What is the purpose of EC2 instances? So EC2 instances are a virtual machine, right? It's a virtual machine actually. So where AWS guys are going to be using the respective Citrix actually. Citrix virtualization. It's an EC2 instances, it's a virtual machine, it's an VM actually. right? It's a virtual machine. So AWS guys are using the Citrix virtualization, as Citrix virtualization is an open source. Now here you have a different instance, right? Instance categories, right? So instance types you have. So basically you have the first three general purpose instances. This is an introduction, guys. This is very important. General purpose instances, and then compute based instances, memory based instances, right? Memory based instances, and graviton instances, right? Graviton instances, and then the respective stuff you have an accelerated instance. Very important introduction. Accelerated instances, right? Accelerated instances, general purpose instances, compute based instances, and memory based instances, graviton based instances, and accelerated instances. So this is very important here. So here you guys are, as a solution architect, you need to pick the right instances here, right? You need to pick the right instances here, right? The sixth one you call as a storage instances. So as a solution architect, you guys need to pick the right instance here. So in what basis you guys are going to pick the right instances? Any thought process? In what basis I need to pick the respective instances types? Any idea, guys? In what basis I need to pick the instances? Suppose I have a Java based application. Suppose I have a Java based application here. So I have 5 instance types. So first one here is general purpose instances, right? General purpose instances. And I have a compute base, right? Compute based instances. And here I have the memory based instances, memory optimized instances, and have an accelerated here, accelerated instances, right? And also I have the respective storage instances here. So now my application is a moderate application, moderate Java based application, right? Which is going to be like, right? Which is going to be helpful only for a moderate workload, right? A moderate workload. And I required a respective, right? And I required a respective, the combination of 1:4, the combination of 1:4 here. So 1 core of CPU and 8 cores of memory, sorry, 8 GB of memory. The general purpose instances, this comes into the category of 1:4. That means if I have 1 core of CPU, I'm going to get 4 GB of memory, right? 1 core of CPU, 1 core of CPU, and I'm going to get 4 GB of memory, right? 4 GB of memory. And ideally, the workloads are going to be useful for only for the moderate kind of workloads. Actually, right? This is going to be helpful only for the moderate workloads, right? Moderate workloads. Like you have a web server, you have an application server, right? Only the moderate, which is not going to be a robust one, which is not going to bear the high workload. It is not going to display the high throughput for you. It will going to only helpful for the moderate workload here. So in the real-time environment, generally, when you guys are going to choose the general purpose instances, the combination here is people are going to use the M5, right? The combination you guys are going to be use the M5 here. Right? The combination you guys are going to be use the M5 here. So that is how it's going to be happen. The combination is going to choose the M5 here. That is going to be happen here, right? So example applications are, right? Example application are moderate workload, moderate workload, right? Moderate workload. Example, Java based application, right? Or PHP based application, right? PHP based application. Generally, these people are going to be used. M5 is an instance type. M5 is an instance type here. So if you consider the general purpose instances, you have an M5 is the most commonly used one, right? Most commonly used one, right?
The number itself
That is,
we can make it, right? Sorry.
yeah, you can pick it. So now here in the M5, right? In the M5, you have an M5A, M5 large, M5A extra large, M5 medium. All these areas you can able to pick it. So for example, this is my respect to M5 here. So here I have an, so based upon my requirement, I can able to pick. So if I required an 2 cores of CPU and 8 GB of memory, I can go with an M5 large. Or if I required an 4 cores of CPU and 16 GB of memory, I will go with an M5 extra large. Or if I go for 8 cores of CPU and 32 GB of RAM, I will go with M5 2 extra large. And this will only support for your moderate workloads. Remember carefully. This is not going to be helpful for the high throughput. Choosing of instance type is very important in your real-time environment as a solution architect. You cannot predict it, right? Okay, go for T2. Generally, in the answers in the interview questions, actually, which kind of instances you guys are going to be choose. So you need to explain this procedure actually. So as an AWS, you have a general purpose instances which comes with the category of 1:4 ratio. What do you mean by 1:4 ratio? 1 core of CPU and 4 GB of memory. So which instance type you guys are repeatedly using in the M5 in the general purpose? I'm using the M5 here. So what kind of application is going to be support? Moderate workload, either Java based application or PHP applications, right? For example. And in the M5, you have various things actually. M5 large, M5 extra large, M5 2 extra large, M5 4 extra large, M5 8 extra large, like that. Based upon your requirement of CPU and cores, you can choose this respective one. Am I clear on this, guys? Any questions, any doubts?
Yeah. For example, we need 1:2 ratio. Then which one we
Yeah,
need to select?
yeah, that is I'm coming. I'm coming to that point. I'm coming. So as of now, what is the thought process you guys are understanding?
So this basically
Good
this
question
requirement
actually.
comes.
Yeah, Pawan asked very good question actually, very fair ask actually. Like I will answer you, Pawan. Yeah, go ahead.
So as this requirement has to come from the respective application, and for example, if you take a
Yeah.
DB
So
server,
in what
they have
basis
to.
you guys are going to be choose? That I am going to discuss right now. Once I explain everything, right? I will choose. I will
Okay,
explain.
and also you mentioning, right, that servers which you can go to that other screen which they based on that M5 large, right? So I can see here around M5.24x large 96 CPU and no 3. So is it kind of physical server or like what is it virtual? Like
It's
how
a,
we can.
everything is in the cloud. Everything you will get a virtual server, no physical server.
Okay,
Everything
so
is a virtual server actually. It's not a physical server. Virtual server is it's a shared hardware.
okay, but sometimes we can see, right, there should be some physical host is running on that, and there should be some dedicated host. Like, what is the meaning for that
Dedicated
actually?
host that I will not still that is not the topic I'm going to cover in the coming section, but is not
Okay,
at this
so
moment.
all are like virtual servers, right? Everything
All
we
are like virtual service. All are virtual machines actually.
okay, virtual. So there
Right?
is no physical servers for
There
particularly
is no
one.
physical machines actually. So what do you mean by physical machine? I will explain it. Right?
Okay,
In the while
thank you.
creation of the EC2. That is there. Don't worry. Still, I have not entered into the EC2 topic actually. Just I am discussing about the instance type. Then I need to discuss about the instance category like spot instances and on-demand instances and reserved capacity reservation. That, right? There are a lot of journeys there. Still is pending. Right? Now here the compute-based instances, guys. right? The compute based instances here. This is comes with the category of 1:2. Right? Someone asked me, Shenmukh, what do you mean if I want 1:2? So that means if I have an 1 core of CPU, I will get a 2 GB of memory here. Basically, the hardware categories are going to be changed here. If I am having a 1 core of CPU, I'm going to get 2 GB of memory here. Basically, the hardware capabilities are going to be changed here. In the compute, most commonly used instance type are C5. This is going to be helpful for the high throughput applications. Right, high throughput. This is going to helpful for the high throughput actually, high workloads. So in the real-time environment, you guys are going to be use right this respective one, this respective compute-based instances, which is going to be 1:2 GB, 1 core of CPU and 2 GB of memory here. 1 core of CPU and 2 GB of memory. This is over the compute base here. And similarly, you guys going to be select a C5 here, C5 here, right? 1:2. If you have a 4 cores of CPU, you will get an 8 GB of memory. So it depends, right? Throughput means the performance actually. Performance, the output, the outcome. If I hit the respective application, right? If I have a specific application is working fine, that means the throughput is very high, right? The throughput is very high actually. That's how it's going to happen. So this is a technical term. The application is working fine. In the sense, the throughput is high. You can say the throughput is high for this respect to API. That means it's performing well. Got it? So, Pawan, I will answer your question. Still, there is a time actually. How can I say that whether the application is a memory hungry or CPU hungry? That is a valid, fair ask actually. I will answer your question. And the memory-based application here. This is where it going to becomes here. So generally, the memory-based applications are comes into the picture of, right? This is comes into the picture of 1:8 actually. The ratio here 1:8. The memory-based instances 1:8. So that means if you have an 1 course of CPU, it will going to be have an right 1 course of CPU is going to be have an 1 core of CPU is going to be have an 8 GB of memory, right? 8 GB of memory here, and also if the mainly use here is R5. The most commonly used instances is R5, and this is going to be useful for the application called databases actually. This is going to be useful for the application called databases like MySQL databases or PostgreSQL, right? All these areas you guys are going to be used, right? And all the databases like Elastic Cache services like Elastic Cache, all these instances are going to be enabled here, right? All these instances are going to be enabled here over this respective database you can see. Am I clear on this? So you guys are going to be use the specific databases, right? You guys are going to use the specific databases, or you guys are using the specific instance type.
So when we say, for example, Couchbase, right? It's a memory hungry
It's a memory
database.
hungry. It's a memory
Yeah.
hungry database. Then you need to
So,
choose this category. R5.
okay. And it also is a terms of cache database as well. So how we will select in which terms now? Accelerated, you said that it will be a cache database, but
No,
it
no.
at the
Cache
same time,
database. No. You are understanding this. The cache databases and the databases are completely use the memory based instances because those are memory hungry.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, thank you.
So now the main important accelerated. Guys, you guys know the graphical processor unit. What does it do actually? So while purchasing the laptops, the respective seller will going to update. So this is going to be support your graphical card. What does it do actually? it's going to be aligned with both CPU as well as GPU actually. Now, if you are into a memory, like if you are into a machine learning or artificial intelligence, right? You guys are going to be uses the respective, right? You guys are going to uses the respective accelerated instances. This is going to be supported by the NVIDIA, right? This is going to be supported by the NVIDIA actually. Accelerated instances. This is going to be supported by the NVIDIA actually. So now here, this is having the respective GPU actually, right? This is having the respective GPU base actually. This theory is not applicable for it, right? This is theory is not going to be applicable for it. GPU, graphical process unit. If you require a graphic card, or if you require an, like if you guys are running an ML ops, or if you guys are running an AI ops, you guys are going to be choose this respective GPU actually, GPU based. They will ask you to enable the GPU, and also this is going to be supported by the respective one of the very, like very good forum is called NVIDIA actually. This is supported by NVIDIA. And generally in the real-time environment, these people are going to use G4 based instances, right? G4 based instances, and the uses for this respective instances, right? The uses for this respective instances for the ML ops application or the AI ops. This is one main important thing here. ML ops or the AI ops. This is one main important thing here. Right? Am I clear on this? ML ops as well as AI ops. So now here, the last and very important, but not going to be useful in the production grade environment is storage optimize. Why? Because you have an EC2 instances with your required categories, and you guys are using the storage of your respective EBS volume, right? Which is an elastic block storage, right? How does elastic block storage is going to be work? That I will discuss in the coming sections. And then, if you guys are going to be use the shared storage environment, you guys are using the storage services called EFS actually. You guys are going to be use the storage service called EFS actually. Right? EFS actually. So this is one main important thing. So the storage wise, EBS and EFS are going to be support high throughput actually, and it will going to be provided the high IOPS, right? It will going to be provided the high IOPS. What it going to provide? IOPS. What does IOPS do? Input output operations per second, right? So this is going to be really required when you guys want to perform the read write operations. When you guys are perform the read write operations actually, IOPS are very important actually. If your storage having the high throughput, then only you guys are going to be, right? If your storage having the high throughput, then only going to have the respective, right? Then only you guys are going to be perform the high read write operations here. Then only you guys are perform the high read write operations here. That is how it's going to be happen. High read write operations. That is how it's going to be happen. See, am I clear on this? So now here, to ignore the storage based instances, because there is one more service called EBS is providing the IOPS, input output operations per second, and high read write operations here. So that's why the storage optimized instances are not going to be helpful for your respective production base. Why? Because you guys are going to be getting EBS as your respective storage for your respective EC2 instances. Right? Am I clear on this? Any questions, any doubts? Am I clear, guys? Any questions here? So now here, to answer your respective question, right? Pawan's question actually, Pawan asked the question to Shanmugh, how can I going to be, how will I know if our application is in CPU agree or memory? Generally, right, your respective, you guys are in the real-time environment, you guys are going to work over the Spring Boot applications actually. Right, Spring Boot application. Most of the time, those are into the memory hungry actually. Most of the time, these are into the memory hungry. They don't require the compute. That means they are not going to be use the CPU. That is not the right answer. But they will completely depends upon the memory action, right? So Spring Boot applications you guys are going to be considered, or Java based application you guys are going to be considered as a memory hungry actually. Those are into memory hungry, right? The compute hungry, the CPU hungry is not going to be depends upon your respective application. It depending upon how many hits are going to be hitting your respective application. For example, I'm getting a 10 million hits, or for example, I'm getting a 1 million hit actually. So every hit will going to be have some thread count actually. That is going to be decided by your developer. One thread, how much CPU has going to be taken, right? One request, how many thread, how many CPU are required. That need to be, you guys are going to come to know when you guys are going to be perform an performance test actually. In each and every organization, they're going to be perform an performance test actually before going to the live. To get the performance test, right? To get the respective performance, right? To get the respective performance and what exactly required for your application, those identifications are going to be come through the performance environment, right? We call this one as a perf environment actually in the real time. In order to know whether your application is in CPU or memory, or for 100 requests, how much CPU is required, how much memory is required, those are going to be right identified in the performance environment before going to the production. So based upon those values, they're going to be decide, okay, these many C5A extra large instances are going to be supported around 1,000 concurrent hits. They will going to provide you this kind of statement. 1,000 concurrent hits. 1,000 concurrent hits actually. They're going to provide you 1,000 concurrent hits. That is one main important thing here. You understood? 1,000 concurrent hits. That is one main important thing. Right? This is how it's going to be happen. 1,000 concurrent hits. So based upon this output, you need to be decide how many instances you guys are going to be enable in the production. Similarly, when you guys are observed that, I think everyone is going to be watch the respective IPL matches or the World Cup matches in the Hotstar. If you observe that at any point of time, the respective viewers is 15 million actually. That means 1 crore 50 lakhs hits are going to be hitting the Hotstar application only for the sports, right? Sports microservices. So in order to sustain that many requests, they're going to enable the auto scaling very aggressive manner. So how to perform those activities, how to decide your respective instance type, this is going to be decided on your performance test environment. They're going to generate the hit. They're going to analyze the environment. They're going to check the reliability of your environment. They're going to check the performance of your environment, right? Before going into the production. So they're going to be use the JMeter as a tool, right? To enable the load test, right? To enable the load test on the performance environment. They're going to enable the load test actually power in order to get the accurate values. So that with the help of that base values, right? They're going to enable in the production here. Right? That's why auto scaling, horizontal auto scaling is going to be comes into the respective scaling mechanisms. And to choose your respective resources in the production, because C5A is the high workload capability, provide the high throughput, right? So generally the Java based applications are the memory hungry, right? They're going to be go with the C5 instances, right? That's how it's going to be, right? So now here, so this is where you guys need to answer your respective interview question. Simply, I will use T2 micro. Most of the time, 90% of answers I'm going to get when I take the interview. I use T2 micro. I use T2 medium. Only T family they're going to update. They don't know what is general purpose, what is compute, what is memory, what is accelerated, what the storage is going to do. Because they are not into the respective production, right? Production readiness environment. They are attended the training, right? And simply with the help of training, they will going to be answer the question, but that is not going to be helpful to crack the interview. The main thing is you need to understand what is the purpose of this general purpose, what is the purpose of this compute, right? In which application I'm going to be enabled. If suppose I want to install a database, I need to choose the memory based instances because the databases are memory hungry. If I'm going to be enable the respect to API, so generally in the real time they go with the C5 because it's going to be sustained high workload. So like that you need to enable the respective stuff. Like that you guys need to enable the respective stuff here. Am I clear on this? Any questions, any doubts? Any questions on the choosing of your
Yeah.
instances?
Yes, yes. I have two questions. So basically that most of the cases scenarios, right? Like most of the applications servers, we can use general or compute based instance, right? So as you know, after explaining all the things.
Yeah, in generally they will use compute or general. That is true.
And for database instance also, I can see, they're not using R5, so even I can see M5 with, extra large with, more CPUs. So
That is the wrong choosing of instances actually.
okay, so basically all the database instances should be comes under
Yeah,
R5,
database
right?
should be over the memory. That's what the AWS has recommended. Because my application is in memory hungry. Why should I need to go for a compute or general? That is a wrong pick.
Go, got it.
So that's where you guys are comes into the picture, the solution architect, right? You need to guide them in a proper choosing of instances.
Mhm.
Am I clear on this, guys?
Just one query. I
Yeah,
was
please.
thinking in terms of now Hadoop requires more storage and compute as well. So how it will fall in which category? Because shared storage will be also there. So EBS will not help. And then uh, that's what I was wondering whether I will go for EFS and then storage related thing or memory.
Storage, yeah, storage, there is a separate section actually, but out of curiosity to answer your question actually. So storage comes with the three categories again in the EBS or EFS, the storage, but this is not belongs to this one. So out of, so you have an again general purpose storage, right? You have an again general purpose storage. You have a provisioned IOPS and you have a magnetic storage actually. Provisioned IOPS and you have a magnetic storage. So the throughput, right? This will going to be general purpose will going to provide up to 3000 actually 3000 IOPS. That means you're going to be support up to 3000 IOPS input output operations per second. This is only for the moderate base application actually. But when you asking me the Hadoop kind of clusters, you need to go with the provisioned IOPS. This will going to be support up to 32 IOPS, 32,000. So you need to choose the compute, whatever the compute you require, right? Whatever this thing is going to be, whatever the memory or the generally Hadoop also will going to be, you have used the R5 actually because it's a memory based hungry, memory hungry actually. You use the R5, right? And the
Yes.
storage you have used the provision actually, provision IBOX because
Hmm.
it will support up to 32,000, right? EFS will going to be given heavy latency for you. That is not
Yeah.
the right for the Hadoop. EFS will going to give the heavy latency. Even though you have choose the provisioned IBOX, right? It will
Uh,
going to give the in the real time it will go for the heavy latency because it's a common storage environment across your clusters, right? It is not going to be helpful. Then EBS is going to be the right pick. That's where you guys are going to be use provision IBOX here. The magnetic storage is in the earlier days you have a magnetic tapes like floppy disks. You remember? I think in the year of
yes.
2000 there is a
Yes.
floppy disk. Actually, you need to insert that respective floppy. That comes into the magnetic stores. So those this is not going to be useful in the anywhere actually. Only general purpose. If it is a moderate application, it's going to use up to 3000. It is a provision IBOX. It go with the 32,000.
Number of instances. Let's say for a particular account, you said, maximum is 20, but my client will require more instances. So
Yeah.
it is
Then you need
just
to
very
write this.
basic.
I said right. I answered this question after. Then you need to raise an support case to the respective AWS guys. They will increase it. They will increase the limit actually. But if you raise 2,000 or 3,000 instances, if you are not if you are not enterprise customer, they will not going to be approve the 2,000 instances. They will approve up to 500 or 300 or 1,000 max to max based upon your billing history, right? Based upon your billing history actually, right? Up to 500, you need to raise a support case actually, right? You need to raise a support case actually further to increase the respect. That I will discuss how to raise a support case.
Sorry, man, can you come again once? I missed it actually. What is 500? What?
So you guys are going to, if you raise 5,000 instances, I require 5,000 instances, right? You raise a
Okay,
support
mean
case, 5,000
okay,
requests.
okay. So you mean like
I want
for
to,
particular account? So
for account,
as
I
per the
want to
limit,
spin
you
up
are
5,000 instances.
okay. Got it.
Yeah. So they will not going to approve 5,000 instances. Shenmukh, you said they will approve, but they will not going to approve actually because in the real time I've been with AWS past 8 years. I worked with Amazon actually almost 4 years actually. Right? They will not going to approve. You don't have authority to approve for 5,000 instances. If it is an enterprise customer like Netflix, Netflix is an enterprise customer to the AWS guys actually, and Intuit and Samsung and Snapshot. For those enterprise customers, they will approve blindly actually. But if you're not an credibility, if you're not an enterprise customer, if you're not paying the bill in appropriate manner, they will approve only 500, 300 instances. But every respective account, they will have an one uh, tag for you, right? Tag in the sense respect to technical consultant for you. So if you raise the query to that guy will going to take care of all your respective service request, right? All your respective service request here. That's how it's going to happen. So now here coming to answer the Pawan question, the hardware is going to be changed, Pawan, right? So even though the core and CPU is going to be an less the hardware capability, this is a robust hardware for the compute they're going to use to handle the high workload, right? That's how they're going to be changed actually, right? So this is how you guys need to choosing of instances. This is the first main interview question, right? So now here you have an instance option. This is clear. Am I clear to everyone? So how does you guys are going to be choose the right pick for your respective instances? As a solution architect, you need to choose the respective right pick for the instances. Not every time general purpose, not every time compute, not every time to the memory, or not every time to the accelerated. Based upon the application credibility, based upon the application, you guys need to choose the respective instance type. So that is one main important thing that you guys need to understand here, right? Now coming to the instance options. So AWS has been provided the three options here, right? AWS has been provided three options here, the instance options here. So you have an on-demand instances, right? You have an on-demand instances, right? You have an on-demand instances here. You have a reserved instances and you have a spot instances. Right, you have a reserved instances and you have an spot instances here. So these are the three options that you guys are going to choose here.
Even AWS also using hardware like IBM, Dell, right, or something else. They're using their own hardware.
Yeah, they will get the respective hardware from all the vendors actually. The same. Because they will not going to be, they are not into manufacturing of their own hardware. So they take the support of the virtualization of the Citrix, and now these people are into the VMware as well, right?
Oh,
So
is it?
VMware is not into production, right? It's not into the VMware actually, but they are trying to adopt the VMware actually. So that is one R&D is going on, but is not happening. So that is one. Probably there are comes with the, because Citrix is an open source and they can see when you are into an open source, the main thing that you guys need to understand, you can manipulate the code the way how you want to work. But in the VMware, they need to again like whatever they support, whatever the services they're giving just some specific vendor, you need to choose those services only.
Correct. And even that is not comfortable actually. Sometimes the instances are, not working that much. It's really tough. Compared to VMware, this is kind of tricky actually.
Yes, yes, that is true. So yeah, coming to the instance options here. Next. So now here you have an instance option here where you guys need to understand about the how many types of instance options are there, what are those. The instance options in AWS are on-demand, reserved, and spot instances. Three categories. Listen carefully. On-demand is a heavy cost actually, high in cost in number actually. Because this is an on-demand in the sense, let's consider there are 10 people or 10 engineers who are requested to create the EC2 instances, right? 10 engineers want to create the respective EC2 instances. So those respective 10 engineers, out of 10 engineers, 6 engineers are requested on demand actually. They're going to serve first, right? They're going to serve first actually, that respective request. And they're going to be ensured that the hardware is going to be readily available for the on demand guys, right? On demand guys. So this is a high priority instances. This is the high priority instances. Right, this is the high priority instance request. This is the high priority instance request here. And also this is going to be helpful for the, right, and also this is going to be helpful for the, right, enable the respective, they will going to ensure that high priority request for them. And you need to understand that the high in cost, when compared to other instance options, you have a high in cost actually, right? High in cost actually. So that is one main important thing that you guys need to, right? That is one main important thing here. So now here you have a reserved instances here. So you have a reserved instances. This is you need to give the long-term commitment for this respective, right? Long-term commitment to that respective AWS guys. So that means, right, long-term approach. That means at least you guys need to give the 12 months to, at least you guys need to give the 12 months to 36 months. Like 12 months to 36 months here. At least you guys need to give the 12 months to 36 months. And then you need to enable this respective, right? You guys need to enable the respective, right? You guys need to enable the respective costing factors also going to be divided into 3 types actually. The cost factors here. The main cost factors here, right? It will having the respective the cost factors here. It will having the full upfront, partial upfront, and no upfront actually. Full upfront, partial upfront, and no upfront. And no upfront here. Right, full upfront, partial upfront, and no upfront here. So full upfront in the sense, let's consider you have requested a, right? You have requested a C5A instances, C5A instance, C5A instance for a commitment of, right, C5A instances for a commitment of 24 months, right, right, for a commitment of 24 months here. So let's say suppose for this respective, the cost is around $200. actual cost is around $200. If you pay the full upfront at once, they will going to be asked you to pay only for $150. They will pay only $150. Right? They will pay only $150. And if you use the partial upfront, they will ask you to pay $180. Right? If you are not using the no upfront, they will ask you to pay $190 actually. So that's how it's going to happen. That's how it's going to happen. Am I clear on this? Any questions, any doubts?
So it will be like
So this is how,
like a monthly wise we have to pay, or how it will be?
yeah, in the bill they're going to add actually monthly wise only. So it depends.
Okay. Okay. So this $200 which you're mentioning, right? So that is for like what is the duration? Like 12 months duration, 36-month duration. Like how they will do it?
Sorry, in the respective next billing cycle, they're going to add every amount actually. That respective amount they're going to add.
So sorry, I was little confused. So as you told, right? So that resort instance have like I remember 12 months or 32 months, right? So after coming to the cast, so the C5A instance, $200 for 24 months, right? The 24 months they divided by every month, or like how it will be? For example, if you take it
See,
as a what is it, upfront, right?
no upfront.
Yeah.
Every month they're going to be asked you to pay the bill. If you are into
Okay.
24 months, they will going to be separated by 24.
Oh.
That's how it goes. But reserved instances, when you want to get, at least you need to go with the commitment of 36 months, right? And you need to go with the at least for the partial upfront. Then only the prices are going to be less, right?
Correct.
Otherwise, the prices are going to be keeps on or equal to the respective spot instances. That's how it's going to be happen. Right? So, any questions, guys? As of now, you have discussed about the thing of respective, right? You have discussed about the thing of respective, the instance pick. So, which instances you guys need to pick, right? You have discussed about that. So, all these things you guys are going to be right, ensure it, right? So that why we'll discuss in the coming classes how the result instances is going to be calculated, right? That I'm going to discuss in the coming classes because it's a very huge concept actually. Still, I have not entered into the instance options and the building criteria. So then those are things I'm going to discuss in the coming classes here, right? So any questions, guys, as of now?
Yeah, one doubt, Suman. So that you mentioned, right, EFS, that is an NFS, or what is the difference
The
between
backend,
EBS
these
and?
guys are going to be use the NFS network file system only. True.
Okay. So what about the EBS?
EBS is a normal storage environment, a hard disk.
Okay, so it is connecting to this instance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So does the partial upfront means paying the total bill not at once? Like yes, Pawan, that is true. So any questions? Any questions? Any doubts? I would like to start because still that class will going to take at least for 30 more minutes actually. The instance options. Then we guys are going to be entering into the respective. Then we guys are going to be entering into the respective concept of billing. How to calculate the billing. Right? So I shared the notes here. Hope you guys have got the documents, guys. So hope you guys
Yes,
have got
yes.
the document.
Yeah, yesterday we got one document.
Okay. So there are new things are going to be added to that. So I will share you the new thing as well. At this moment, those things are going to be sufficient for you. So what you guys need to do, just revise this around 3 classes, I think. So I think 3 classes you have completed. Just revise that. And on Sunday as well as Saturday and Sunday, what you guys need to do, I will share you the one document for you over the Linux basic commands, right? So kindly go to it. Yeah, I will cover Pramod. What is Graviton instances? What does it do? I will cover. Still, there is a lot of section I need to cover. I will cover. I do remember that. Right. So, any questions, guys? Any questions you'd like to ask me? So, I will share the Linux documents for you. So, Linux basic commands document for you. So, kindly go.
Okay.
So, that is how the today's this week assignment for you guys. Later
Okay.
on
So
Friday, coming Friday, I will give you the actual assignment, and you guys now need to ensure that kindly create the respective, right? Kindly create that respective AWS account, free tier account, right? Kindly create the AWS respective free tier account. So till this class is going to be continue, Pawan and Pramod. So Graviton instances, what does it do? How it going to be helpful for you, and what is the how the spot instances is going to work? Till we're going to discuss. There is a huge section actually we'll cover.
uh, so the assignment is for this week. So we need to go through all the three
Only
videos and we need to go through
all
the
the
Linux commands
Linux commands, and
and
then we
account
need to
creation.
complete the code creations. Right?
So
That's how
tomorrow
we're going
class
to
is there.
do.
Tomorrow class
No,
is there.
Saturday,
We need out.
Sunday there is no class. Only the weekends. Sorry,
Okay.
weekdays.
Weekdays. Okay.
Monday to Friday. This one.
Okay. Thank you.
So those are the things, right? So guys, the thing is actually I'm going very slow pace because the students are mix and match. So a few people are very forward to the already the AWS concepts. They have already gone through the some of the trainings from the Udemy or other areas, right? And few people are very new to this respective areas. So I need to think about the both the people actually. So when I'm going, when you thought I'm going very fast, when I'm thought I'm not, I'm going very slow, right? Slow is okay, but fast you should ask me to hold on, right?
Yes, so we need, yeah, we need all the concepts from related to AWS as while going out, right? So if you take it 2 days extra, 3 days extra, it's fine. But we need the content and easy to clear the crack the interview.
Yeah,
If you attend to do multiple interviews, so that type of
that's why.
content
So
and
if
data
you
is
observe
required for
that
us.
EC2,
Yeah,
if
we
you
are okay.
observe that EC2 in other areas, they will create the easy instances on writer, right?
Yeah, correct.
But here,
Yes.
my training is completely into the different. What should you need to
Yeah.
create? No, that is not into our syllabus actually, right? That is CICD is not being belong to our syllabus. Those are into the section.
At least, can you give a brief at last?
Yeah. So definitely I will. Time permits. Definitely I will do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Actually, I have
whatever the
learned.
coming.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Actually, I have learned DevOps in within technologies only. So actually, what
Okay.
happened is we in that DevOps we have only few services like load balancer, CLC. But in interviews
Yeah,
they're asking
that I
code.
understood. Code
Mhm.
commit, code deploy, and code pipeline. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. In some
definitely,
interviews they're asking
definitely.
the same also.
Yeah, in the last, right. But those things also going to be discussed in the last
Yes,
because the
yes.
syllabus is completely designed. Almost I covered all the topics in my demo,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So, but CICD now, you are the second one who asked. Let's include it for this batch. My con, right? It
Eh,
may take 2 hours actually. I think it's fine for
please,
me.
please. It's
Yeah,
really helpful for
fine
us.
for me.
Please include.
Sure, definitely. API gateway also I have included in this batch actually. Previously, I have not
Okay.
included this API gateway. So now the last batch I also included the API gateway. This thing also I'm going to include for sure.
Yeah. Really, thanks a lot for that.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Have a great day and great weekend. So hope you guys are going to be covered all these 3 videos. So one thing I'm going to be ask you guys. So I already shared the interview questions. So topic-wise interview questions and real-time approach of the interview questions. Kindly go through it at least in Saturday and Sunday. Just have a glance what this guy is doing. Right. That's how it's going to be. So thanks a lot, guys.
Sure.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.